Hello everyone, welcome to Nadlan. We're giving you daily updates from entrepreneurs that are doing real estate in the US. And I'm so excited to say we have so many updates for you today, so many news, so many exciting educational posts. And of course, post number 3 from Dror. So we're going to get to it right now. All right, guys, so this is the picture for today's post, and let's get to it. And once we're done, we're going to go over the real estate news and updates. All right, Texas Hold'em and chocolate rolls. If there's one thing I realized very quickly, it's that without a winning team and without surrounding yourself with a bunch of Canon winners, we won't get anywhere, neither nor 200 more flips, no matter how much you say you learned along the way. There are millions such clichés in the real estate world, and they are all probably true. To find the right market for the road to Dallas, Texas was long and tedious. Months of web analytics, reports, articles, financial analysis, and what's not. I was told, are you crazy? You live in Vegas. You know every corner here. Your stepmother lives here. She mediates. What do you have to look for in a new market? But the analyst in me is annoyed and told me that the market there is just not right for me or for my investors. So yes, I left the comfort zone and approached it in the most analytical way possible. And so I arrived in my ultimate investment capital, Dallas, Texas, where all the big real estate investors want to be today. And I do not rule out any other market. On the contrary, wherever the demand is greater than the supply, there will be guaranteed business opportunities. The question is who the players are and how deep the pockets there, and with what team are you entering the field. This story is actually from a recent improvement project we purchased or a flip in spoken Latin, where our nuclear team was incomplete. One of the contractors we work with in the same area fired 2 strong foremen and could not join this project. The other contractors we worked with were busy or in the middle of projects. So we said, come on, this is an opportunity to try a new contractor and not necessarily a problem. After previously trying 2 Israeli contractors who could not meet the predefined project budget, a promising contractor named Chris emerged through a recommendation from the north and claimed, there is no house I cannot renovate with this budget. Send me an address and we'll talk later. General background, we are a hard money under contract on a house 2 weeks before closing. There is a vow and the deal is an open market without an option period, and we have already deposited $5,000 in light of an informed assessment of the actual property value after renovation and an estimated cost of renovation. But there is a wholesaler in the picture, another wholesaler on the part of the seller. They did an assessment between them, a landlord, a broker, a title, and an angry seller from all the people who work, since she is currently selling a house for $100,000 below the market price. The wholesaler working in front of me got a call from me that I was going to send contractors to make more accurate assessments and gave me the code for the lockbox. Chris, the new contractor, calls me. I have lunch. He has an early morning. He tells me that the project is realistic. There is work here, but there is meat here, and he is not afraid of the budget. So far, it sounds promising. He adds he will return later. He is currently leaving the property and will return later with his primer to check if the walls I sought to demolish are returning walls. Towards 3 a.m. at my place, I work at night in front of Dallas, Chris calls and starts yelling at me on the phone and asks who gave me the lockbox, and he adds and says, he went into the house and heard someone was there. So he pulled out his gun. Yes, Chris turns out to have a gun. It's not strange in Texas. And shouted that if there was anyone in the house, he would fly because he was currently in the property legally and that was not afraid to shoot. So great. While he's barking, I hear someone shouting at him from home because it's her house. And he replies that she is disturbing him and start as quarrel there while I'm on the line hearing everything. Chris holding me on the line all this time is barking at her. She on it, and then I get an SMS, a text message from the wholesaler who asks me if I have a contractor on the property. I answer him that yes, and he texts me that he quarreled there with the seller and that it is very worthwhile for me to kick this contractor away because he is doing a sin there. I will also note that Chris' wife, Bauto, is waiting all this time with a 3-week-old baby. The seller has meanwhile ordered the police in there. The wholesaler is threatening me with text messages that the deal explodes if the contractor does not fly away now. Meanwhile, on mobile, the seller brother and other family members claim she was safe in the bedroom and now it is gone. That there was a safe in the bedroom. Someone took the safe. And now the contractor is under investigation on the spot. On the line, I hear a policeman and chaos around him. And then I get up from the table, go to the kitchen, make coffee, take chocolate beads from the closet, sit down at the computer, send one email and one SMS in 10 minutes, it's all over, and come to its place in peace. One email was to the crazy contractor with all the papers of the contract, the assignment, our LLC registration, and the house code to show the cap, the name who sent it to there, and we have permission to be there. And one text message to the wholesaler who says if he does not throw the seller out of my contractor's face, I'm blowing up the deal. Within 10 minutes, the contractor was released, the seller disappeared, and the wholesaler apologized. Of course, we will not employ this contractor, of course, but hey, no one Texas Hold'em and chocolate rolls. In the next episode, a teaser on one bluff and a money printer. All right, very nice. So this was the post of the day, and we're going to get into some news update after this short break. All right, guys, welcome back. And we have some news for you and updates from the real estate world in the USA. So this post is about, should we buy a property with or without a tenant? I dedicated the following post to all investors who are waiting for an equivocal answer to an issue that is most unequivocal in the universe. Because the question of with a tenant or without a tenant is just like asking if you should put on red or black in the casino. If I take all of the populated properties I have purchased for myself or for investors in the last 5 years and run statistics on them to see how the story ends with the tenant, I'm sure the result will be always 50-50. I'm not really going to check it out. Yeah, it's boring to me, but not that much. Let's talk for a second about populated properties at the tip of the fork. On the one hand, if I buy a property with a tenant and I'm lucky, I have cash flow from day one. I do not have to pay lease fee for finding a new tenant. And if I do a flip, sold to a local investor, I can return a check, the property to the market and make a quick turn on it. In addition, one of the advantages for me of buying a populated property is that most of the house systems are probably functioning. Otherwise, it would not have been possible to live in the property. And I'm not going into a renovation adventure that I do not know how and when I will get out of. On the other hand, if I was not lucky, it's a casino, remember? I found myself with a problematic tenant and not a paying one. Such a tenant will leave the property at best, or I will have to take it to court in worst case. Evacuating a tenant can take several months, costing about $500, which is even before we talked about the cost of preparing the property for the next tenant, which can also reach several $1,000s. And if my strategy is a flip, all my flip is delayed by a few months, and this time is known as losing money. So how do I deal with this not so simple issue after all? The guiding principle for me is that I never give up on a great deal because of a tenant. It may be difficult to deal with a problematic tenant, but much more difficult to find a good deal in today's market. The decision I make at the end of the day is based on a net return calculation. I examine what return I can generate from the property in each of the scenarios and make a decision based on that. It is also important for me to note that my decision making is based on my investment strategy, which is flips. If I were investing in buy and hold, I might have made different decisions. Here's an example. I recently purchased a duplex for $33,000 when one of its units is rented to a completely delusional tenant for $500. The tenant's unit was in reasonable condition and the rest of the property required renovation. I knew that if I managed to raise the tenant's rent to $550, renovate the property by $10K, and rent out the empty unit for $650, I could sell the property for around $70,000. In such a situation, I get a return of over 50% on the deal and finish the deal in 4 months or less. Great. In a situation where the tenant was not cooperating, I had to evict the tenant, wait 2 to 3 months, and then renovate the entire property. Less great. The total renovation cost would have reached about $20,000, but now I could rent the 2 units for $650. Since my cash flow was going up and the property was completely renovated, I was able to sell the property for $75,000 to $80,000. I would wait 6 months rather than 4 months, but I would still make over 35% return. That is, in both scenarios, the potential return fits to my criteria for examining the feasibility of a deal, and therefore I go for such a deal without thinking twice. By the way, for those who are nervous about how the story ends, the weird tenant agreed to pay $550, so it's not weird to me anymore. A guy's charm. The property was sold at $70,000 within 4 months. All right, this post was from Neta. That's great. So let's move to the next post. Can anyone help and explain to me why it is not possible to download the bank application of Bank of America? If anyone got into this issue, just know you can go to our website and look for the responses for that. We're not going to get into such details. All right, we have a Telegram group. So whoever would join, are welcome to join. You can go into the post and click USA Real Estate Investor Forum channel. You can join our channel. All right, let's go to the next post. I'm looking for a reliable field man in Cleveland, Ohio. So that's another recommendation that someone asked for, and you can go and look at all of the recommendations that been there. All right, this is an interesting one. Is it possible to appeal an appraisal report? All right, this post is from Eyal Melamed, a real estate broker in Miami. I decided to write a post about appraisal because for the first time I was able to appeal the appraisal report. In every mortgage transaction, the lender sends on his behalf an appraiser whose job it is to check and evaluate the value of the property, and this is to know if the mortgaged property is worth the value that the seller and the buyer agreed to pay. In my experience, Appraisers are very conservative, which means they are very careful, and because their job is to protect the bank's interest, they usually value the property slightly below its true value. They enter the house checking the condition and quality of the property, similar to the inspection, but a more overlapping inspection. Their real test is to sit at home later and do homework, make comparables, call agents who have sold homes in the area and consult with them, and do tests and calculation on the true value of the home. Such an appraisal costs about $700 to $750, and it is not possible to choose who exactly will arrive. By the way, we as a real estate agents, apart from coordinating their arrival in front of the tenant, must not really talk to him in order not to influence his decisions. Several times the appraisals in the properties I sold came out low, usually when I represented sellers and we were fit to sell at a high price, and knocked us down the deals. Last week I was on the contract to sell a property and the appraisal came out $35,000 below the price agreed between buyer and seller. I wrote to the lender, the mortgage broker in this case who works closely with us, a long and detailed email with lots of reasons why the appraisal is inaccurate, and indeed for the first time I was able to challenge and increase the value, all this within our time of the deal. My main claims were: one of the comparables on which they rested their analysis on was a sale from 2019. After all, in today's crazy market, since 2019, a lot of water has passed through the river, especially a drastic price increase, so do not use this comparable. The property we examined was a triplex. The appraiser relied according to the MLS on another property that was presented as a triplex, but in a deep examination I conducted in the county, it was a duplex that was used as a triplex, or in other words, an illegal triplex, and therefore it was not considered either. Another comparable he used was indeed a triplex, and his description on the MLS was refurbished, so the appraiser downgraded the value of our triplex, which was less finished and fixed up. I found pictures of the same triplex that was defined as renovated and showed that it was just a description, and that was not the case. The appeals committee accepted the allegation and raised the price to the purchase price. Wow, very nice, Eyal. Usually from experience it does not work, but these appeals, but in case it worked, and therefore always worth a try. We have a nice picture here. Wow, this is great, Eyal. All right, let's go to the next one. I want to consult with you. I want to buy an apartment in the United States. Do you know where I can buy an apartment and pay in installments? All right, this is interesting. Let's see some answers. Are you a citizen? If you can try to take out a bank mortgage, or a private landlord will give you a loan, and that you can pay in payments anywhere as long as you have equity of at least 20% of the property value. Nice. So let's see what else. All right, this is a crazy one. We have a tenant who has not paid for a year. We tried to go for a management company and it didn't help. I would be happy for help, guidance. All right, so let's see some answers. Once you study, it is forbidden to invest in a property for rent in states that allow the tenant to continue living in the property for more than a maximum of 2 months. At the head of the enlightened states in New York, where the rights of property owners are denied. So basically this member says you're not supposed to invest in places like New York, and you should invest in places like usually red states like Florida, Texas, or all of those areas that can evict the tenant. If the property is in New York, you are in trouble. Bring in money that left to leave the house, option A. Option B, contact an attorney and start an eviction process. At the moment, it is allowed to start the process only after 6 consecutive months that the tenant pays nothing. And even then, the case comes to court, and by the end of June, there is nothing to do. All right. What? This is a disgrace. Cash for keys, which means pay him to leave the house. Alternatively, yesterday already replaced the mechanism for him. All right. I don't think this is legal to change the keys and stuff like that. Where is the property located? In such a situation, eviction should be done and tenant evicted. Contact a lawyer. All right, we got the picture. We have some other news for you. President Joe Biden wants higher taxes on real estate transactions with gains over $500,000, but the proposal may affect more people than wealthy investors. All right. Okay. Let's see. Searches for the phrase, when is the housing market going to crash, are up 2,450% over the past month. This is crazy. So everyone are now looking to know when the housing market in the US is going to crash. What do you think? Write in the comments below. And by the way, whoever stayed with us till now, so I guess you appreciate our content and our daily news. So please like us, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification button so Google, YouTube can show this channel to more people. You know, this is the YouTube algorithm. All right, so while they are still a relatively small part of all new housing, a record number of one-family rental properties were built in 2020. And young families with modest incomes and children are more likely to live in these homes because of the space they provide, compared to renting a multi-family property, and the relatively cheap price there is compared to new single-family homes for sale. While still a relatively small share of all new housing, record numbers of single-family rentals were built in 2020, and young, modest-income families with children are more likely to live in these units because of the space they provide, compared to new multi-family rentals, and their relatively affordability compared to new single-family homes for sale. All right, thank you for this news. Let's see what next. Another experience, this time in a different location. Does anyone invest or know a good realtor in North Carolina? So if you are a realtor in North Carolina, you're more than welcome to reply to this post on our website. Only when we thought things were finally getting back to normal, California extends tenant protection laws following corona crisis. Property owners and landlords alike, everything you need to know, by Ayala Malili. All right, interesting. All right, a case study. This one is from one of our Mentor Mind mentors, Or Kichin. Thank you for that. Or she's now doing new construction and flips in Indianapolis. So a case study. New construction in C areas. Lessons I learned following new construction in C areas. Whoever doesn't know, you know, like we categorize areas as A, B, C, and D according to crime, income levels, percentage of how many homeowners compared to rentals. So a C area is basically below A and B. It's somewhere between B and D. So you can understand that it's not the greatest locations. Yo, hello everyone. So I have been doing new construction for some time, in addition to flips, at a different area level. And now I can say that I have conclusion I can share. C areas. From what I was going through, I found that it was easier for me to build, assuming of course there was the right contractor, than to do some of the flips I did. And that's because there were fewer undercurrents and overall the process was pretty straightforward. Let's start with the breaks that happened. The rise in timber prices in the United States is drastic. There were fears that we would not be able to sell because of the corona, etc. It did not happen. We expected that the process of obtaining permits would take some time, and it was not so long, less than a month. Good things done. ARV in inspection, before construction, during construction, and at the end of the construction. The problem, ARV, is after repair value of the property. The problem with new construction is non-construction areas is that I felt was moving in the dark. So basically, in building a new construction in areas that doesn't have much new construction, the comparables for after repair value are kind of hard to achieve. Obviously, new home prices will be higher, but by how much? And would anyone be willing to pay for it at all? So we started the sale from a high enough price, knowing we would have to go down in price. I built a garage for 2 cars, and it's good that way. In such areas, garage attracts more people, even though we did not do anything fancy because of the awareness of the neighborhood and the budget. I complied with the buyer's request and put vinyl flooring, LVP, in the bedrooms as well. I realized that maybe from now on it is better for me to put LVP, vinyl flooring, in the bedrooms as well. Advantages: the construction process is faster compared to large flips because the process is very structured and orderly, and there are no manifestations of problems in the middle. There are almost no requirements for repairs after the buyer's inspection, and even if there are, then it is minimal and simple things. Higher yield percentage because in the first place I set a minimum profit margin that if it does not exist, I do not buy the plot at all. Construction time plus sale, 7 months, and that's because the municipality issued us a permit really fast. Sale amount $204,000. Total investment amount $135,000, which is not always the amount. Usually it is more. Final return 39%. Conclusion: after all, it's a little harder to sell a relatively expensive house in a C neighborhood. Doesn't mean I stop building there, because if there is a good deal, then there is a good deal. But by and large, I would prefer to build in B and A areas first, because there is more demand over there and people can pay more, because the economic situation there is higher, and also there are probably more new construction there that already built and that are worth more for comparables. Overall, this was a really good deal, and it ended faster than flips I had at the same time. The sale was harder, but hey, this is real estate and we're used to this nonsense. Peace out. So this is our kitchen's property with the 2-car garage. This is the 2-car garage, and the property looks awesome. Oh, wow, this is the house. Very, very exciting, amazing. All right, so I think we're almost done. Let's see. Why I choose to invest in Cleveland, Ohio. How to choose real estate investments. When we invest in real estate in the US, we are looking for the potential for an increase in the value of the property and improvement option. Improvement is a process of making a profit from the property, but when we are looking for where it is best to invest, it is worthwhile and important to look over time. Strategically, we have chosen to invest in the medium term, 5 to 10 years, but you can look at investing in the property also in the long term. All right, so we are kind of like out of time for today. So any other updates that you like to have? Just a second, let's see what. I think we've been through most of it. So thank you guys. It was a bit longer today than usual. Thank you for being with us. Don't forget to like us and subscribe if you like the daily updates. And we are always happy to be here. Whoever doesn't know us, we're Nadlan. We're doing financing. We're doing courses. We're doing mentoring. We have the online website with more than 30,000 people registered to the site, forumrealestateusa.com. You're more than welcome to come and join us. We have a Facebook group in English, in Hebrew. We're doing analysis reports for you guys. We're doing so many other things. We have a weekly entrepreneur that teaches you guys how to become a real estate investor in the US. So that's it for today, and we're going to see you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.